Hey guys, welcome. This is Brad Krantz. Thanks for joining me here today on Monday Morning Leadership. This is my 61st birthday. I just wanted to share that, and part of my birthday is just to give to you, and I hope this message is helpful. Today I'm going to talk about leadership and work ethic. Okay. Last week I shared the success formula, and there's some big relations between the success formula, some of those, you know, um, discipline, habits, environment, and that are going to tie in, because the success formula won't work unless you have a strong work ethic. A strong work ethic and strong ethics of work are really closely related. And I'm going to explain why. So let me unpack it a bit. I'm going to start out with a couple questions. First is, why is work ethic important as a leader? Well, I think number one, as a leader, a strong work ethic sets a good example, right? A leader, you want to be a good example. You want to lead, influence from a good standpoint. The leaders know, by the rest of their team members maybe in their organization or team and the general public. If they're known to possess a good work ethic, it will be far easier for the rest of the team's work to be accepted, because, right, the leader sets the example. And so you're not going to get as many questions about integrity, because you, as the leader, have set the example. So I think that's first and foremost. A leader sets the example. Secondly, why is a work ethic important? And it kind of goes without saying, but I think in general, good work ethics play a really important role in bringing benefits to any business or businesses in many ways. Typically strong ethics attract us as customers and clients, don't they, who appreciate honest services that will, and by having honest services are going to boost the sales and profits of the company you're doing business with, or your company, maybe in this case. So we want to do business with companies and people that exhibit strong work ethics, don't we? So having a respectable or reputable reputation helps attract new customers, and it brings higher loyalty among us as customers, right? We do business with people we know, like, and trust. So here's 6 work ethics, and I want to give just kind of a brief description of each. Number one, I think first and foremost, is integrity. And I will say integrity is the linchpin of leadership traits. I consider it the number one trait as a leader, because everything kind of falls or comes behind that. One of the most important workplace ethics is obviously integrity. And by definition, integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, personal code of conduct, if you will, that goes above the level of good conduct, and it encompasses the spirit of good conduct. Okay, so integrity is number one. I think closely related to that is honesty. Think about it. If you don't have integrity, then you can't be honest, and you can't be honest if you don't have integrity. So these two are really, I think, tied very, very closely together. You could almost consider them synonymous. But here's a little bit of the difference of it. So being an honest individual means that you don't deceive others, and you don't do that by giving out misleading information. And this includes basically the being truthful in the way of conduct. That's usually without, you're not lying, cheating, or any form of falsifying. Whether it's sales reports, sales numbers, or anything in the workplace, right? You're being honest about your work effort and your responsibilities as an employee, if you're working in an employee-employer situation. Third is discipline. And again, we talked about this last week on the success formula, right? You've got to have discipline along with habits. So these are very, very critical. So at times, obviously, as a leader or maybe a team member, you may have talent in your line of work, but if you lack the dedication and commitment to complete the tasks given, then you don't really have discipline. It requires a certain level of discipline to not only complete the tasks within a certain time frame, but also to execute them well. So instead of just doing the bare minimum at the very last minute, and I'm going to touch on this again on number 6. So you've got to have discipline and self-discipline. And then fourth would be being fair and having or showing respect. As a leader, achieving an ethically strong workplace really involves the cooperation of everyone, right? From top decision makers and leaders to entry-level employees. People people all throughout your team, right? And no matter what level you're at, you need to constantly strive to ensure that all your actions are fair and just, and particularly if you're entrusted with a position to lead. Because again, right, we're back to number one, or the preface, a leader leads by example. And obviously, this is far easier said than done. We can all provide examples. I could give far too many of places or situations where this wasn't true. But if you're entrusted in a position of leadership, and I think this goes back to a message I did on responsibility that we have as leaders, that leaders have far more responsibilities than they do right. So again, noting that it's far easier said than done, this will help to ensure a positive work culture in your team or organization. So it pays multiple dividends. I wish more organizations would really get this about being fair and showing respect to people, not showing favoritism or nepotism, which is, unfortunately, it's out there and it's something we have to deal with. So fifth is responsibility and accountability. And these two, I think, could probably be separated, but I'm going to tie them in here a little bit. If someone has a strong sense of responsibility, and I would say a strong work ethic, he or she would turn up for work on time and complete the tasks given with the best effort that they can offer, right? I think we would all agree with that. If you have a strong work ethic, one, that you got to show up, you got to show up on time, show up prepared, and you do the job that you're being paid for. I can't tell you how many times when I was in retail management that if people just, number one, showed up for their shift, and two, they actually just did their job, no more, no less, I was actually doing pretty well, and I might get out on time without having put in a lot of overtime. So that's really important. But nevertheless, there's going to be times, and I've had it as an employee or team member, that I make a mistake, but it's also important to be able to acknowledge these mistakes and then to be accountable for them and accept the consequences. So if you make a mistake, admit it. And this is something I struggle with, because you don't want to look bad in other people's eyes or admit you messed up something, but honesty really is the best policy. But be accountable for your actions or mistakes and then take responsibility for them. Because again, right, leaders take responsibility. They don't shove it off, and they don't make excuses. So that is really important. The one I added to this list I'm using is 6, going the extra mile, because I think this one really shows if someone has a strong work ethic, they undoubtedly will go the extra mile. And it's the habit of going the extra mile. And it's a formula that's was laid out by Napoleon Hill, who's known as the author of Think and Grow Rich, among other works. That's probably his best known. And this, noted, is strongly related to number 3, discipline, right? And it's tied in because I really believe it is a learned habit. And again, it is part of the success formula, being disciplined. And I think going the extra mile, people that are really successful, they understand that. They go the extra mile. And their definition, which I think is classic, is you render more and better service than you're paid for. And sooner or later, you will receive compound interest from your investment. And it's sad that so many people don't get that, but it's the inevitable product that every seed of useful service you sow will sprout and reward you with an abundant harvest. If people only understood that, and this goes to mindset, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but going the extra mile is how you get noticed, how you rise above, and how you really get to achieve success. Nobody's achieved success by being average or below average. And I say this puts you definitely above average if you have a strong work ethic and you have a habit developed of going the extra mile. I can't tell you how many times I did that in my insurance industry, business, and in the field of outside sales, is going above and beyond, going the extra mile. But going the extra mile is not the sort of principle that can be put into practice in a few easy steps, right? It's not just you're going to be able to do it. Instead, again, it's a state of mind that you and I have to develop so that it is part of everything we do. And hence, it is a habit, the habit of going the extra mile. So there's a subtle but powerful mental attitude connected with it. And so if you remember that your best recommendation is the one you give yourself or myself by rendering superior service in the right mental attitude, guys. So there's leadership and work ethic. That's what I got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to leave you with 3 questions about work ethic to ponder. And please feel free to share your input on if you feel so led. I'd really love to hear some of your insights on this. And one, which maybe one of these traits stands out of work ethic? And two, what would you add to the list? This isn't necessarily an all-encompassing list. And then three, because I think this is so important, how do you go the extra mile and why? I'd love to hear back from you on examples of how you go the extra mile. Love to hear your feedback, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great and strong work ethic today on Monday. Bye-bye.